Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. May all be happy. May all be free from diseases. May all see only goodness everywhere. Lord, no one suffer from anything. Let there be peace everywhere. Good morning, friends. The subject of my talk this morning is the second part of my talk on the subject, what I have learned in monastic life. At that time, that was many years ago, I was working as a government auditor in Shillong. That was a city which was the capital of Assam of British India. So I decided to join the monastic order. So I thought that I would ask Swami Bhaskarananda about his advice. Then Swami Bhaskarananda said, it's all right, you join the Shillong ashrama because this is an ashrama which was started by Swami Somnyananda. He was a very silent type, would not talk much, and he would be called Hahi Maharaj. That means the smiling Swami. In a local language, which is Assamese. And so Somnyananda was there in charge of the Shillong ashrama. And I was asked to join that ashrama. He said, it is better for you to join this ashrama, Bhaskarananda Swami said. And Bhaskarananda Swami was, at that time, the manager of that ashrama, so to say. And so he said, you join this ashrama. There I learned a few things. The first thing was discipline. That was personified in Swami Bhaskarananda. He is a personification of neatness and orderliness. He had a little room in the ashrama, but he kept everything neat and clean. So I learned from him how to keep everything neat and tidy. And the bathroom hanchi you would use also had to be cleaned after using the bathroom. And that also I learned from Swami Bhaskarananda. He kept everything neat and clean. And what did I learn from Swami Somnyananda, who was known as Hahi Maharaj? That means the smiling Swami. Because he was, as I have told you, he was silent most of the time, and he did not know the local language, which is called Assamese language. So he'd speak in some other language. That's why he was called Hahi Maharaj. Hahi means laughing Swami. And what did I learn from him? He was in charge of the Shillong ashrama, although he never thought that he was in charge. He would silently walk in the ashrama and would talk only when he was obliged to talk. And when I joined the Shillong ashrama, I had to help in the kitchen. And help in the kitchen and bring the food for Swami Bhaskarananda, not Swami Samyananda, sorry, to his room, to be given to him. He had developed some stomach problem. That's why he needed some special food. And that food would be cooked under my instruction in the kitchen. And when the food was cooked, I used to bring that food and offer that to Swami Samyananda. Then one day, when I had given food to Swami Samyananda and he had eaten that, he said to me, the other day I went to the bathroom and saw that you keep the bucket and the mug upside down and empty. That what is the purpose? May I know? Then I said to him, revered sir, that is to help the next user. I do that because that bathroom did not have electricity and there is no shower of the modern style. So water that would be used was put in a bucket and there is a mug to be used later on. That's why I thought that this ashrama was poor. So after using that bucket and that mug, I would turn them upside down so that there won't be any water in them and they would not rust that easily. That is the purpose why I do that. Hearing that, Swami Samyananda said, yes, that was a good idea, but I can give you a better idea. Then he told me, you have to learn to give silent service. If you fill the bucket with water and the mug with water, then the next user will be obliged to accept your service without knowing who had done it. So this is called silent, giving silent service. And this is what I learned from him. And since then, as I've been in this country for more than 47 years, I had to go to many places on invitation. And while traveling by plane, I had to use the bathroom. And every time I would use the bathroom, I would keep it clean for the next user. And in this way, I used to serve or give silent service to other people. And this was taught by Swami Samyananda. So once Swami Gahanananda, he was the manager of that ashrama, he told me, pointing to my body, whose body is that? Then I said, revered Maharaj, this is my body. Then he said, it used to be your body, but since the day you joined, it has become Sri Ramakrishna's property. It is no longer your body. And then since then I have been thinking that way. And this is what I learned from him. See, he had said that your body belongs to Sri Ramakrishna. That is for his service only. And he was the manager of the Shillong ashrama. So there was a need for another monk who was a brahmachari like me. His name was Ram Gopal Maharaj. He said to him, your parents want you to go and see them before you finally join. So why don't you go? And then Ram Gopal Maharaj said, yes, I will need about 2 months. So these 2 months, who will do my work? Ram Gopal Maharaj used to live in the same room where I used to live. So he wanted to have his work done by somebody. Then Swami Bhaskarananda did all his work in addition to his managerial work for nearly 2 months. And Swami Samyananda had, when he was a boy, he was trained by Swami Prameshananda, who had become the head of the ashrama, village ashrama in Sargachi, a few hundred miles from Calcutta by train, and several more hundred miles from Shillong. But Swami Bhaviananda thought that we would learn something from him. And who was that Swami? That Swami was Swami Prameshananda. He was in charge of the Sargachi ashrama. He said, go to him. So he and my roommate, Ram Gopal Maharaj, went to Sargachi. We went by train all the way, several hundred miles. And when I arrived there, I saw Swami Prameshananda walking there, assisted by another monk. And when I saluted him, he asked me, when you think in terms of Shillong, then it's, I was born in Shillong. Shillong has a much larger border, much bigger place. Then when you think of yourself as an Indian, then you'll say, I am an Indian. You enlarge yourself. Then, but you must not stop there. You must go on enlarging yourself and think of yourself as an Indian, and then a person belonging to this world. That is a much bigger position. And you have been expanding yourself. That means you are not satisfied with your size when you were born. Don't stop there until you become so large that everything belongs to you. The entire world comes under you. Well, I couldn't understand what he had been saying, but understood that he wanted me to grow up. This was Swami Prameshananda's teaching to me. That means we should not limit ourselves. We are, truly speaking, infinity. And he wanted me to remember that. This is what Swami Prameshananda taught me. Then I was also inspired by a Swami in Vrindavan. He was highly respected for his monastic life. And then they were invited by a group of people to a certain home. Then he went with them. And they were mostly monks who had been invited. And there was a monk among them who had unfortunately got involved with a woman. And that's why other monks thought that he was not pure. So they would not want to dine with that fallen monk. But then the Swami in Vrindavan, he asked that monk to come and sit next to him. And when he did that, other monks also followed him. So this is a teaching I got from that monk, who didn't see any difference between a fallen monk or another monk. So these are the teachings that I learned. Thank you all for your patient hearing.